Hello and welcome to the Freedom Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kaya, energy healer, psychic channel, and spiritual mentor for women who are ready to ditch the spiritual rulebook, release the pressure and overwhelm, and let go of all that comparison that makes you feel like what you're doing isn't enough. In this podcast, I'm going to share bits of my journey with you, as well as my wisdom and knowledge to show you that spirituality gets to be something that works for you and not something that you work for. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello. Today I want to speak to a topic that I feel is so important and something that a lot of people struggle with when they really don't have to. And this comes from a place of knowing that it's something that I've struggled with as well, and had my own experiences with that I'll probably share during this episode. But what I want to speak to today is why you feel like you have a stop and go energy when it comes to personal development, personal growth and evolution, healing journey, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the inner work, showing up for yourself. And this is why, like, when we're experiencing that stop and go energy, it's really hard to build momentum, because momentum is built from like one foot in front of the other, small actions taken, one step after another kind of thing, and momentum builds, right? And it turns into something big. But we can't experience momentum when we're in the stop and go energy. And by stop and go energy, I mean, let me paint a picture for you and let me know if this resonates. I say let me know, but it's like this podcast is like a one-way channel, but message me if this resonates for you. So you have this motivation. You're like, I want more out of my life. I want to create more. I want to manifest something, like whatever it is. You've got a big goal. You've got a big vision. You're like fired up. And you know that feeling when you're like, I'm ready to go all in. Like, I'm ready to do some research, figure out what the best strategies for this are, whatever it is. So this could look like wanting to, increase your income, right? And you're like, okay, I found this meditation for abundance. I found this other Kundalini mantra that will be great. I'm gonna create a money altar. I saw this program that's all about rewiring your brain for money, and I have this other free masterclass that I signed up for about manifesting money into your life, and I saw this other thing, and you just have all these things, right? You got all these tools and you're feeling like this is foolproof. I'm gonna go balls to the wall. I'm gonna do all of these things and there's just no way I won't see a result. And so you do it. You show up, you create a little schedule maybe, or you create a little list that you're going to check off every day of all these things that you're committing to doing. And you're going for it. It's you're hitting the gas. But then maybe something comes up in your life, or you're not feeling well one day, or you got overtime at work, or whatever it is. And so you kind of fall off the wagon for a day. Or maybe one day you're just not feeling it. You're kind of tired that day, or you're going out with your friends and you're kind of I don't have time. I'll just pick it up tomorrow. And you don't. You fall off the wagon. It's hard to get back on. It's the diet cycle. People go all in on a diet and they find out it's too restrictive, and so they give up, right? And it's hard to get back into it. They're I had a taste of freedom and I love it. And there is so many reasons why I see this happening, and this is where you hit the gas and hit the brakes, right? You're all in, and then you're not, and then you kind of are not doing anything for a while until all of a sudden you get that spark of inspiration again, and you're okay, but this time for real, I'm all in. If you resonate with that, let me know, because I know for sure this is what my journey looked like, where I was I'm going to go all in on the inner work. I'm going to do this meditation every day. That's 20 minutes. I'm going to do this Kundalini mantra. I'm going to do this embodiment ritual. I'm going to sign up for this program and this other thing. And I got this free thing over there, and whatever. And I was in all these things. And the thing with that is it creates a stop and go. And the reason it creates stop and go, like the reason there's a stop in the first place, is because it's not sustainable. So like when you're doing all the things and you've got like this list of like, you're all in, you're doing all the things or whatever, you're so motivated, but it's not a sustainable way to go and to keep up with, then you're more likely to fall off, right? It's like when coming back to the diet example where it's like, it feels restrictive, like it's this restrictive diet and you can't stick to it, and you get a taste of freedom, like what it's like if you're not doing it. So like, it's one thing to like do all these rituals and feel like so good for a week, and then one day you don't do them and you're like, I felt like kind of like, the pressure was off, like I didn't do them today, I like went out and had fun with my friends instead. And you get like that taste of freedom of what it's like to not be on this like restrictive inner work schedule, right? And so you stay off of it. And it's the same thing. So like, that's one thing I see happen to people all the time. It's something that happened to me as well. And what I really want to speak to is why this happens. So oftentimes this happens from you having the belief that you need to do more things in order to see more results. So the reason we get into the habit of doing more and doing all the things is because we feel like, if we were to just pick one thing, like it wouldn't be enough. More is better, right? Like if I'm going to go all in, I'm going to go all in. And it's from the lens and the belief that like being all in is about doing something. When in reality, being all in is not about how many things you're doing and how long you're spending doing them. It's about the energy that you're doing the things in. And this is something I speak to all the time. And one of the biggest realizations on my own journey is like, it's not about me having this like huge long morning ritual and doing this like big giant meditation while my son's napping in the middle of the day, and then having like this, reprogramming thing before I sleep and like meditation. It's not about any of that. It's about finding what works for me. And if what works for me is like taking 5 minutes in the morning just to have like an intentional drink, and like if you're a coffee person, or I do like cacao or maybe matcha or something like that, and just sit and have like an intentional moment to check in with yourself. How do I feel today? Blah, 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 right? Maybe that's what works for you. And so when we're not feeling the need to do all the things and like, hit the gas all the way and go like 0 to 60, then we're going to build momentum. And it can be like finding what works for you, but also it can be something that you stack as well. So like, what if you decided instead of hitting the gas and going like balls to the wall and like starting a huge giant practice, you were like, I'm going to make one shift this week that will help me to do XYZ that you desire. Like I'm going to do one, like I'll go back to my example, like I'm gonna have 5 minutes in the morning where I drink my cacao and I tune into how I'm feeling that day. What beliefs are coming up for me around things happening today? Do I have any like nervousness today? Do I feel energized today? Like, and taking a tally. And me spending that 5 minutes is building momentum towards something I desire, which is self-awareness, intentionality, and tuning into my intuition. So instead of me deciding that I'm going to have that self-awareness, tuning into my intuition with a 20-minute meditation in the morning that I will never do because I'm watching my son, so I'll always just put it off and never do anything. Instead, I decide, what can I do that I'm not going to hit the gas on or hit the brakes? What can I do that is actually going to be a sustainable practice for me so that I'm not in the stop and go energy? What can I commit to every day that if I didn't do it one day, I wouldn't feel like, it was so nice I didn't have to do that today, and then not pick it up tomorrow. And that's really the key to finding things that work for you and getting out of the stop and go is like, what can you do and actually stick to and stay committed? Because part of this is staying committed, right? Like not from a place of force, but from a place of it's easy. It's easy to stay committed to this because it's something that actually works for me. And that's kind of like the second piece that I want to touch on is really figuring out what works for you. And sometimes this is trying all the things, maybe not at once, but trying a few different things like, try EFT tapping. Does that work for you? Do you like meditations? Do you like doing affirmations and looking at yourself in the mirror? Like, there's no right and wrong, and something that works for one person doesn't always work for another. So like that's why in a lot of my teachings and programs and one-on-one stuff, I don't teach like everyone should do this meditation. Like, sure, I'll provide you with meditations, I'll provide you with affirmations if you want, I'll provide you with EFT tapping scripts and show you how to do it and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide, like, does this work for me? Is this something I want to do every day? Is this something I could stick to doing once a week? Is this something I might just have in my toolkit to bring out when I feel intuitively like I need it? And really making that choice for yourself and not falling into the trap of like, well, everyone else who's seeing results is doing XYZ, so like I should do that too. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And shifting gears a little bit, I just have a few notes that I want to speak to here. Another reason why I see people in this stop and go energy is a lack of purpose and direction. So when we don't have clarity on what we're desiring, the life we're desiring to create, what we're desiring to manifest, whatever, we're lacking motivation too. So like you can't be motivated towards something that you actually don't know, right? And of course there's like, we can have something and, more magic can unfold beyond that than we could even imagine. But it's like, if you don't have something you're aiming for and like a sense of purpose or direction, then you won't have the motivation to keep going. You won't have the motivation to show up every day to create the momentum, right? To show up every day and move the needle forward towards what you're desiring, because there's no bigger vision, there's no direction, there's nowhere you're going. So, you can't build momentum in 8 different directions. You know what I mean? Like you can't, wobble all over the place. I'm turning this way, I'm turning that way now, and I'm going to go over here and blah, 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 and expect momentum to build. Momentum builds faster when you're heading in one direction straight, right? Not that our journey is always linear, but like when you're aiming for one thing, like, not to say you can't desire more than one thing either, but when you have one goal and you're moving the needle forward towards that one goal, it's a lot easier to build the momentum when there's clarity there. Another piece that I see gets in the way of creating momentum and has a stop and go energy is lack of accountability, and not accountability in the way of like, a teacher or whatever. Like I know like for me with coaching clients and things like that, like there can be a level of accountability I hold for them, but it can also be from your friends. Like it doesn't have to be like a teacher or a mentor or coach or whatever. It could be accountability from your friends. And this is why it's so important to have, a community and friends along in the journey that understand and are aiming for similar goals and can help keep us on track, because we're motivating each other, not from a place of competition and, all that kind of stuff, but from a place of like, we genuinely want each other to succeed. We're showing up and we're talking about these things that we're working on, and it motivates each other. Like, you know what I mean? And that can be huge. And of course it can be huge also coming from a coach or a mentor as well, someone who's going to actually like intentionally follow up and keep you on track if that's what you feel that you need as well. So shifting gears again, another piece that I feel is really important to touch on here is being aware of your own self-sabotaging patterns, because oftentimes, as much as like sometimes it can be like an event or whatever that comes up that has that stop with the stop and go energy of like, I was doing so well and then like this happened, and like sometimes life does happen. Most of the time what the reality behind this actually is that you self-sabotage yourself, to be blunt. Like you did something to self-sabotage yourself, depending on what your specific self-sabotage patterns look like. And that's why it's so key. Like this, I can't even tell you, like when I started to become more self-aware of my own self-sabotaging patterns in the way that like, I would do this, and also my nervous system and my ego would like steer me away from what I'm desiring in order to keep me safe and keep me in my comfort zone and things like that, right? Because always growth and evolution is change. It's getting out of your comfort zone in some way. And when we're getting out of our comfort zone, we're changing. This feels very shocking to our ego and to our nervous systems if we aren't consistently working on expanding our nervous systems, right? So when we're going through change and we're going through expansion and, maybe we're picking up a little bit of momentum towards the desired outcome that we want, like we're picking up the momentum towards our personal growth and evolution and what we're desiring to create and manifest. This can feel like, oh no, we're about to get everything we desire and it's going to feel really unknown and scary and whatever, like, you know what I mean? And subconsciously, we can self-sabotage ourselves in this. So for everyone, this looks really different. And that's why it's so important that we start to become more aware of our own patterns and the way we self-sabotage ourselves so that we can, be aware and shift it moment to moment when we see like, I'm starting to build some momentum. And I notice that like, sneaky little me was trying to do, X, Y, Z, whatever it is to self-sabotage. And I know this is a pattern for me. So like, how am I going to shift this right now in the moment? And this is like a major key piece of the work that we're going to be doing inside Mirror Mirror, my new signature program that's running live in November, is really uncovering, our own self-sabotaging patterns. How do we do it? Like really uncovering like what that looks like for you so you can stop it in its tracks. And that's just like a piece of what we're going to be doing in the program, but it's probably one of the main keys that's really going to unlock things for you. The last piece I want to touch on here, which is kind of like, it kind of goes hand in hand with the self-sabotage because this can be a form of self-sabotage, is impatience, like having a lack of resilience and patience for the process. And sometimes it can feel like I'm starting to build momentum. I'm not seeing results. So I'm just going to pull out. I'm going to stop. Right. And it's like this energy of like, you're trying to charge your phone and you're like, is it charged yet? And you unplug it to check. And it's like, the more you unplug it, the less it's going to charge. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with momentum. Like the more you plug out and the more you have that stop energy and you fall into self-sabotage or whatever it is, you have that lack of patience and you stop, like you're starting from scratch again with that momentum, or like you're starting from next to scratch. So it's like, can you have the resilience to keep going when it doesn't look like it's going to work out or it's taking longer than you anticipated? Can you have the patience to wait and trust in the process and trust that like everything is building momentum, everything is coming to alignment for you? And all you really have to do is believe that that is exactly what's happening, right? And stay the course. And not plug out just because it's starting to get uncomfortable that like you wanted, whatever. Like this comes up a lot in business. I speak a lot about business just because I am an entrepreneur, but in business where like you have an income goal or something or maybe you launch something, right? And you're like, I really want to make X amount of money, or I want to have this amount of clients, or whatever it is. And like, it doesn't look like it's going to work out. Maybe you've been like sharing a new offer for like a couple days and nobody showed interest yet, or whatever it is. And so you're like, I'm going to pull out. I'm just going to like, I'm not going to sell this anymore, or whatever. Or, you give up on the business altogether. Like I see that happen a lot too, where people kind of are like, I tried it for 6 months and like, only made a couple $100s. So I pulled out. And like, that's fine if that's your story and that's, what felt aligned for you. But a lot of the times this is because of the lack of resilience and lack of patience and the want for like instant gratification of like, I want to like be all in, but only if it happens within the next 2 days. Like I'm going to go all in on my business, but only if I make 6 figures in the first year. I'm going to go all in on my career, but only if I get that promotion I want in the next like 6 months. Otherwise, I'm going to go to a different company and start all over again. Or like, I'm going to go all in on like finding my dream relationship. But like, if somebody gives like one little red flag or whatever, I'm out. And it's like, it's not about standards. It's just about like not wanting to give someone a chance. Like, there's just so much to unpack in that. But like, yeah, I feel like I'm complete with that example. But if you feel like this is all hitting home. Like, you're like, yes, I do some of this stuff. I hope this episode was helpful for you with that stop and go energy. Like, I hope you listened, you learned, like, listen to this again, implement some of the things I said. And really, if you're feeling like you're stuck in the stop and go, like, you're always all in, you aren't really sure how to find practices that work for you, you're not really sure how you're self-sabotaging yourself, you want to build more resilience and patience, but you're finding it difficult, you're wanting to have more of a sense of purpose and direction, but you just don't know how to get started with that. Like, whatever it is for you, I really would love to invite you into my new program, Mirror Mirror. I'll have it linked in the show notes. This program is like covering all of this stuff and so much more. It's like the ultimate personal development and evolution program. It is like the work that I have been doing for years to get me from like so many, like, point A that like I could just dive into so many points, but like feeling like I was out of control around money, like life was kicking me when I was down, like I couldn't find a job I loved, I had no like belief in myself and what I was capable of, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and like even that wasn't paying the bills, like just feeling no sense of purpose, and like everything was going wrong, and like just one thing after another, to now like feeling like I have control over what I'm creating in my life. Like I feel like I have the power, I'm in the driver's seat, and like life isn't happening to me anymore, it's like happening for me, and that I'm creating it too. And obviously like healing my relationship with money so much through this work, like healing the way that I interact with money, the way that I see money, the way I see myself around money, like the beliefs that I have around myself when it comes to my business and earning money and just circulating money and creating it and all these things. But also like the way I show up in my relationships, my friendships, my marriage, my relationship with my family, relationship with my son, motherhood, like just everything like in my life has changed like from doing this work. And the big key here is like it all starts with you. It all starts with you deciding that like you want to make a change, you want to get out of the stop and go, you want to start creating momentum, and realizing that you are the one who has the power to do that. It's not waiting around for opportunity, waiting around for the right time, waiting around for someone to come and save you. It's like, what if you made the choice that like you could stop this stop and go energy this month? Like you could make that decision yourself, right? And that's what this program is really all about. It's like changing the way you see yourself and what you're capable of, and the way that you have let conditioning run your life instead of your soul. So I could go on for so much longer, but I won't. I don't want to make this whole episode about, a pitch for the Mirror Mirror, but highly recommend if any of this is hitting home for you. It'll be linked in the show notes for you. And if you have any questions, obviously, about the program or also just about the episode, you want to chat, I always love to hear from you guys when you listen, just like, hey, I listened to the podcast today, and like this was a big aha moment for me. Like it makes me feel so good to know that the content that I'm creating is really hitting for you and really helping you. So slide into my DMs. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.